So, good evening, everyone. My name is Bartłomiej Narożnik. Some of you may know me already because I've been on one of meetups before. And I would like to share with you something about making AngularJS faster, making it more optimal, and making your customer happy. So, I will say a few things about watch expressions, how to make them more optimal, how to use them wisely. Then I would like to say a few words about ng-repeat. It's a pretty important directive and pretty much to do there in means of performance. I will also say a few things about filters. There are also some binding options which Angular gives us, so also it's worth to know them. There are as well some apply methods, some methods to call updates for Angular. There are synchronous, asynchronous. There are a few of them, so I will also line them up for you. And in the end, I will try to answer the questions developers for centuries now were trying to solve. Should we optimize or maybe not? So let's start with the basics. Every or most of Angular performance problems are somehow connected to the digest cycle. So few words about it. What it is and how it works. So it starts with some action. Somewhere there is a call for method that initializes digest cycle, and then it all starts. Usually it starts from the root scope. It checks all the watchers, checks if there are some changes. If there are, there is another loop until there is no more changes. Then it goes to other scopes, does the same, and if there are, if everything is done, there is update on UI. So as we can see here, there are two main areas to improve performance. One is, let's call it the blue section. It's the calls for digest. So if we would improve, make it less calls or change it there, it would improve our performance. And more important is changing the watchers itself, making it simpler or making less of them. That could also give us some benefit. So what about blue sections? What could involve a digest? It could be user action, like some button click or changing the value of form element. It could be directly called. There are also a lot of other things that calls digest, like timeout interval, HTTP responses, and a lot of other things. And what about watch expressions? What introduces watchers? Of course, bindings. We can call a method watch that will add some watcher, add a watcher for us. Most of directives use watch. Also filters and many others like scope variables. There is also ng-repeat. It's of course a directive, but it's a special directive, so it's earned its place here as a bullet point. So, what about watch? How could we make it better, make it work better? So, how does the watch works? It has some expression to work on. There is a function to call, and by default it just compares this first element by reference. So if the value is changed the function is called. There is, of course, if it's, for example, list, it's not enough for us. So there is a third argument, and if we set it to true, it will compare the object. It will be deep compare, so it will compare deep down to every field, and that could be costly, especially in this case if it's huge list. So what we can do, we can use another function, watch collection, and it differs from the first one. It only compares on the first level. So if we only care about if the collection has changed itself, if we don't care about how elements have changed, it's good for us to change it. And if not, there are other options. Like, for example, if we only care about changes for some specific fields, not for every field for the element, then we could just make a subset of it, return only those fields. Like this, in this example, we only react on change of ID field on the list element. What else we could do? Of course, we should try to make watch as simple as possible. So if we can make a change handler, the function, simpler, then it's a benefit for us. But especially watch expression should be as simple as possible. So avoid making functions there. It will be called every time for every digest, and it can kill your application. And of course, less watchers, less problem. Even maybe we shouldn't use watchers at all. There is a strong movement in Angular that says that using watcher at all is a sign of bad architecture, bad design. So they say actually everything you do with watch you can do in another way. Maybe it's some more coding, but it will work faster and it will be more predictable. So there is an example here of model update by input field. You can bind it and watch, but you could also have event handler and change the value yourself. Of course, it's not exactly the same, so that's why I called the function differently. But so we will have to analyze and see our application. But for this case, it works exactly the same. And about using watch, you have to remember also about getting rid of it when you don't need it. So unbinding the watch. Simplest method is to assign a result of watch function to variable, and when you don't need it, just call it, and it will remove a watch from watchers. It will be inactive. But of course, in most scenarios, you need watchers little more than for just a short period of time. For example, you need it for scope lifetime. So there is ultimate option destroy event on the scope. So you should definitely remove your watches there. There are also a few other things you should remember about clean out after yourself. Of course, modern browsers now can do it for you, so you don't have to do it. They will clean up after you, but it will not be so optimal as you have done it yourself. So it's always better to do it properly, not count on your browser, especially when you don't know what browser your users of your application will use. in my company, we have to support Internet Explorer 10, so it's not a browser that forgives. You have to remember to do it. It will create memory leaks if you don't if you leave watches that are not needed, that will grow up. So let's go to ngRepeat. It's a special directive, as I said. It's a special because it usually works on collections. It always works on collections. It's sometimes it's a large collection. Sometimes it can create a large part of your website, of your page. So it's critical to make it to look for performance there. So let's say you have a simple ngRepeat. There is a collection you work on. It's a book. And then someone assigns new value to that field. And what Angular does, it removes all the DOM elements and recreates them because the collection have changed. So what we can do to improve that, there is a track by keyword, and it will say Angular that the element has changed only when the value, when the field has changed. So in this case, there is some key on word, and if the key is different, then it means that it's a different element. So the collection is a different object, but it has the same keys. It will do nothing. It has been introduced in Angular 1.2. Has anyone using a version prior to that? Yeah, okay, so bad luck for you. But yeah, for rest, you will have. We can also use a pagination. So if collection is too much, it has too much elements, why not split it? It will be also better in user experience point of view. There are, or even better, you can use some plugins, frameworks that do it for you, like Grid frameworks. Some of them can reuse the DOM elements, so it will be even better than making your own page. And there is one more thing you could do. Instead of having ngRepeat on your HTML, you could bind HTML, which means that you create your part of web page in the controller, and you assign it there. It may not be so nice, but it works better. And there are more directives I would like to talk about. In Angular, we can hide page elements in quite a few ways. There are a few directives. For example, ngShow and ngIf. First of them is rendering element, but it hides it unless it's needed. And second, ngIf will not render it until it's needed. So it's not about which is better or not, because it depends on your scenario. In some scenarios it will be better to use one first, and for some second you will have to answer yourself two questions: how frequently will it change, and how heavy is the scope? Because if it will, for example, if it will change very often, it's better to use ngShow and just hide it. Okay, now a few words about filters. Filters are very nice, and they give a lot of cool stuff. You can do really complicated things by just simple notation. But The downside is that it will, if you use it in binding, it will be executed every time. So maybe it's worth to execute to filter elements before you bind it in the controller, and then it will not be. It will only be executed once you have control over it. There are few binding options that Angular gives us. First, I would like to tell about is one-time binding. It explains by itself. It's a binding that it's only executed once. Since it's there, it will not be updated. It will not be part of digest cycle. It has been introduced in Angular 3, but good news for you, there were third-party libraries before, so you could always do it before version 1.3. Whoa. And another nice option of binding in Angular is Debounce option. So what it does, it waits a bit before updating a model. So in this example, there is some search field. We would like to wait until the user stops writing. So we wait for a quarter of a second and then proceed with the digest. And of course, we can call digest manually. We can decide whether to call it if there are some changes we would like Angular to know about. There are two basic methods, functions to do that, digest and apply. The difference between them, besides notation, is that first one will start from the root scope, and the second one will start from your current scope, so your upper scopes will not know about that. So it's, again, you would have to decide whether in your current scenario it's better to use this or that, because maybe you would like to a root scope to know about your changes. So it's worth to know about this difference. And there is also asynchronous methods to that. Of course, it's not asynchronous because JavaScript is synchronous, but it's asynchronous in the way of digest. So it postpones apply a bit. First one adds it to current digest cycle, and the second one will schedule the next digest cycle. So if you have, like this example, some frequent changes of model, you may want to use that. And there is a magic line in Angular, which will give you some little kick in performance. It's a line that removes debugging. What it does, it removes some stuff that is needed for debugging. It's not needed for Angular. For application itself, like ng scope class, so it will be a little faster, but you will lose ability to debug your application. So maybe it's not good to do it on development environment, but it's definitely good to do it on production environment. And you can always turn it on even on working application. Okay, and there is one more way of improving performance of Angular 1.0. You can just upgrade your application to 2, 4, 6, whatever. It's also some way of making it better. I just left this slide for the end, because some of you might lose interest if I make it first. And what about optimization at all? Because before you start optimizing your applications, maybe you have to think it over, think it through, because it's not that every optimization is good in every aspect and every time. But for example, if you have application that works fine, there is no problems with it, no one touched it for 2 years, better not touch it, break something. And there is also a problem of premature optimization. So if you make, there is a trade. If you make it, if you try to optimize it, it can be less readable. So if you work in a team and you try to make it better from the beginning, it could turn out that it will be difficult to understand and there will be more bugs. It's always something you have to consider. So there is a rule of thumb which says, if your optimization makes it harder to understand, then it's a premature optimization. And as the wise man says, premature optimization is the root of all evil. So all about that and many more you will be able to read in our upcoming book. I wrote it together with two other guys. One of you probably know. At least it will be in Polish, so for English speakers, wait for version 2 or for translation. Thank you. That's all.